Vista is dead. I know it sounds obvious, but y'all didn't want to admit it. So, our last video got a surprising amount of attention, and a few of you guys were like, well, you're just running poor hardware. So, okay, we'll run it on better hardware. So, we loaded this sucker up with, what is it, a Core i7 4790K, 16 gigs of RAM, GTX 580, or a 290X, and we'll get to why I tried 2 in a minute. So this is faster than any conceivable Windows Vista ever should have been, and you know what? Still sucks. So our last install was on era-specific hardware, and I couldn't even get Service Pack 1 to install. And everyone's saying, Service Pack 2 makes Vista good. Oh, and install the extended kernel. So I did all that. And you know, still a buggy nightmare. Didn't crash. I actually did not see a single blue screen, and that kind of messes up with my memory. But weird, just weird little things would happen. Like half the time, every other time I'd reboot, I'd end up in like this setup where it would take like 10 minutes to boot on an SSD. And then it would say something about like a login service failure, and I'd end up in safe mode. You reboot again and it's fine. So, by the way, I'm sure a couple of you guys are wondering what is the extended kernel, and it's just kind of a system of patches to improve compatibility with, you know, current year. It lets you use a modern web browser. It's not the latest version, but I have actual Firefox. I can view actual web pages, and it fixes the certificate errors that you get where, like, no web page will display unless you manually allow it. My problem was, everyone says extended kernel. Nobody says how extended kernel. There is not a single easy to find link on how to download it. It's like, the guy who makes it makes a post, and it's like, oh, okay, this is helpful. I removed the first post because of confusion. DM me directly for help. It's 5 a.m. and I'm still working on Vista. I need answers now. I don't even think if I PayPal you $40, you're gonna wake up and be like, oh, this guy needs help. So, next site, same problem. Next site, more info, and he says, oh, I can't link it because of piracy policies on this forum. But I persevered. Gab and I stayed up all night because we wanted to give you and Vista the fair fighting chance it deserved. Ended up watching like 15 YouTube videos and getting a sketchy website, but I downloaded the patches. And then I didn't have the batch file to install each update. There's like 60 of them automatically. So I had to go through more YouTube comments and find a link, download the batch file, and half of them didn't work. And I ended up in this nightmare scenario where nothing would properly install. I could not get Steam to work. Tried like 5 different Steam clients, no dice. Nothing worked, no Steam. But the AMD driver's installed, so that for the 290X, so that was cool. But I really wanted to get Steam to work because I know that's why we're gamers on this channel. You gotta have Steam. So I start over. I watch more YouTube videos. I get a new ISO link. I get some more tools. I download it. I install it. It's pre-patched. None of this problem. None of these worries. Works out of the box. AMD drivers won't install. So we gave up and we switched to a more modest GTX 580 from Nvidia. And you know, we had to hope. We hoped that Nvidia had finally fixed their driver issues that plagued Windows Vista. I swear that they were the reason why Vista was bad. You know what? They installed just fine. Except for GeForce Experience, so honestly I'd say that's a double win. They installed better than fine. Nobody wants GeForce Experience. So we went to install Steam, and Steam officially dropped Windows Vista and XP support back in like 2019 or something, so gotta go and find an old client. There's a modded client for the extended kernel, so we follow all of the directions like exactly as they should be, and we end up with this broken mess. You know, it's got this nice little pop-up on the top there saying Steam will stop running on Vista in 0 days. The browser doesn't work. You actually have to turn no browser on as a flag or it crashes. Can't view my library, I can't manually download anything, I've got no control. So, we try and start running some games. The old-fashioned way, copy game files over, and we had some varying levels of success and failure, like my YouTube videos, so please subscribe. So first we started with something fun, like Fallout 4. Well, I didn't have working Ethernet drivers for this motherboard, so it's over my phone, and Fallout 4 was gonna take too long. Everything wanted to re-download, and I'm not doing 40 gigs on a 2 megabit connection. So that's out of the window. We thought about maybe some DX12 or Vulkan titles. Well, it's Vista, so no, we gotta get a little more creative than that. So we move on to something a little more familiar, something that Gab loves. We try New Vegas. It runs on literally everything. I don't know if we've had a system that New Vegas won't run on. Until today. Try and launch New Vegas and it says the registry files aren't there. So we go, we manually edit the registry, which is super scary if you're not familiar with it. And it's even scarier on something like Vista. This is back in the day when your dad would download registry cleaners and run that every week. So edit the registry, go to launch, and we end up with this wonderful little pop-up where it says it can't find an INI file. There is an INI file right there! It won't read it. We follow everything to the letter and it won't work. So we tried a game just as horrifying and awful as Vista. We tried Fear 3. And it almost looked like it might work, but then Fear 3 has multiplayer, so it's got an anti-cheat, and the anti-cheat was not having any of this. So that's off the table. So we move on to something else. So we try Left 4 Dead 2. It's a game that will also run on literally anything. You should have seen the computer I used to play Left 4 Dead 2 on. It was pretty rough. So it starts loading, you get the Valve sound, the cool logo, the guy with the weird spigot thing in the back of his head that's kind of creepy. And then it lets you down. It lets you down like Gab lets me down whenever I let him install literally any piece of software. How did you mess up Windows when we overclocked? All you had to do was edit the command line, CJ. And then it immediately crashes and gives you this nice little pop-up about some file being corrupt and running check disk. Dude, it's Vista. I run check disk every 30 seconds. That ain't the problem. You're the problem. So we try something simple like Civ 3. I'm running out of ideas. We're getting desperate. And it'll run on anything. It runs just fine. It really doesn't even need Steam. But it should run on anything. It's from 2001. So yeah, Civ 3 works fine. You know, 1 out of 10. Decent odds. So at the end of the day, Vista doesn't feel as bad as you think it should. On modern hardware, it runs pretty well. It's fairly snappy. The problem is that there's no driver support, no Steam support, and pretty much anything else you want to run is kind of a crapshoot if it'll even launch. But, I mean, at this point, I'm running a 4790K. Why am I even trying it on Vista? There's this point you reach where if your hardware is capable of running Vista comfortably, it can run Windows 7 or Windows 10 and you're gonna have an infinitely better experience. If I take this card and put it on Windows 7 or Windows 10, I get modern drivers until like last week.
Rest in peace.
Godspeed. I had working drivers, you know, modern drivers with modern features. I would have Relive, I would have overclocking support, I would have, you know, DirectX 12, I would have Vulkan. I could run Doom Eternal on this. I can't do it on Vista, and that's really depressing. I really wanted to run Doom Eternal on Vista. A doomed game on a doomed OS. So yeah, that's Windows Vista. It's a system that was kind of doomed to fail, and it was never really given a fair chance. If you read up on the development of Vista, it was a buggy nightmare. It was restarted like 4 or 5 times, it feels like. And it just had features crammed in it way too early that weren't fully baked. Think about something like Cyberpunk. Same kind of concept. It really should be good, but it's held back by a terrible development cycle and just kind of coming out too early. Except Vista came out too late. What are you gonna do, right? This is a system we really wanted to work. Gab and I really wanted this to be functional. Him and I both had Vista computers growing up, and we have relatively fond memories running 32-bit Vista, playing like Civ 4 at 3 in the morning. I remember running Windows Ready Boost and how we were convinced that was going to make the system faster. Yeah, your USB 2.0 flash drive is really going to make your 1 gig of RAM feel better. I mean, there's only so much nostalgia that can kind of carry you through. You know, you have those kind of rose-tinted glasses, so something like Windows 98 or Windows XP seems much better in hindsight than it kind of was. For the record, XP was trash on launch, just like Vista was. But they fixed it and people kind of just moved on and forgot about it. I don't know what the deal was with Vista. XP was trash when it launched, but it got better and people forgot about how bad it was? Probably because Windows ME came out before XP. That's why Windows 7 was so good, because the last OS was so bad. How do you compare Vista to XP? XP just worked by Service Pack 2 or 3. So at the end of the day, I can't help but feel like everyone who really wants Vista to work either has a bit of Stockholm Syndrome, or is just rooting for the underdog. Everybody loves an underdog, and if anything, this was the underdog. I think at the end of the day, Vista could have been better, and the biggest issue again was just driver support and the hardware that it launched on. Vista had no business running on these Vista compatible or Vista capable PCs. Again, like a Pentium 3, Pentium 4 has no business running Vista, has no business running anything on it. And I think that's kind of the situation we're gonna see again with Windows 11. Everyone's complaining right now about all of the Windows 11 requirements. It won't run on first gen Ryzen. It won't run on Sandy Bridge. But maybe that's why. Maybe they're trying to learn their lesson so that Windows 11 isn't as hated, but now we're hating it because it won't run on everything. If past history has taught us anything about the cycle of Windows, Windows 11 should be the next Vista, which was the next ME, which was the next 95. Was 95 bad? No, was 95 that bad? I don't know. Leave a comment. Let me know how bad 95 was or what your expectations are for the next version of Windows. Get subscribed and, hop on our Discord. See you guys next time.